Thank you once again, everyone, for making it a date with us at this all important webinar. Thank you for making out time to join this event. As we know, Asset Rise as an organization is very conscious about education in real estate. And as we usually say, our aim is not to raise realtors, but to raise people who can function as consultants, people who are authorities in the real estate industry and who are able to, offer advice for people to make informed decision that regard their investments and intrusion into the real estate space. So this event also is one of those events which we've tailored to ensure that we provide adequate information and adequate um, resource to persons who operate in the real estate space. So we're going to give a few minutes to our resource persons to say a word or two about themselves and the event today, what they'll be doing for us. So, Barrister Folorunsho Fadairo, please, would you please take a few minutes to um, introduce yourself formally to the House? Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Folorunsho Fadairo. I'm a legal practitioner, an arbitrator, a mediator, and a realtor. Thank you so very much. I'm here this evening to answer with my colleague some of your questions in relation to your investment in real estate. And, we believe that we'll be able to tackle all those issues that have been bothering your mind for a while now. Thank you so very much.
Barrister Chioma Swabom, are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good evening.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Please, just a few words to introduce yourself to the House today.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. Good evening, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. And good evening to my senior and able colleague. Okay, my name is Chioma Swabom. A business lawyer and also a tax consultant in the real estate sector, construction and the likes. So I think that's it basically. To summarize everything, that's what I do. I'm a business lawyer. I'm also a tax consultant for professionals in both real estate and other sectors. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you so much. It's indeed a great pleasure to have you here. Okay, so we're going to have, during the registration, a lot of us asked some questions during the registrations, and we're going to start with that. So we're going to start with some of the questions and then have those questions answered by our resource persons who are here. So the first question we have here from somebody who is live here at this event is, what is the importance of titles and documentation on land? So why should we have titles and documentation on land? So Barrister Chioma.
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Okay, so talking about titles and documentation, it's very key to security of landed properties. So what is obtainable under our jurisdiction here is that there are different titles that landowners get to possess. So you look at certificate of occupancy, you look at different kinds of titles, basically right of occupancy, the ability for the right of you owning that property. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, of course we can hear you.
Okay, I just saw a message. So basically, titles are for security of land. It's to show that you have purchased this property and that title is now vested on you as an owner of the property. So, and it's also for tracing of the history of land. So also documentation. Documentation is also important in terms of security and also tracing of the history of a property. So because every transaction, for instance, let's say Mr. Ojo bought a property from Mrs. Sarah. Now, that transaction will be documented by a deed of assignment, right? Saying that I have transferred title to this person. Now, when that person now decides, okay, I want to now go ahead and resell to maybe another person, Mrs. Stephanie, for instance, that transaction again has to be documented. So what it tells you is that it enables trace of history, and it also enables people to have peace of mind in terms of when they buy a property from the owner. So in terms of law, when we hear deed of assignment, we are saying, oh, this transaction has been finalized. So these are the importance of you understanding the documentations, the titles, and their importance. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, of course, of course. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Which underscores the importance of underscores the importance of understanding the different documentations in the process of acquiring properties. Your contract of sale, your deed of assignment, it shows that a transaction has started, and it also shows the finality, the history, and the security and vesting of title on the person that has decided to purchase. So these are things that underlie transactions, land transactions, majorly security. That is the essence of getting your documentation, security of that transaction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister, for that detailed explanation. Barrister Father Erusa, please you help us with this question that says, what's the importance of understanding the safety of real estate investments? And the second question, the B part of it says, what's the difference between asking price and net price in real estate? It's something this person has come across, but doesn't understand the difference between the asking price and the net price. Then what's the importance of understanding the safety of investments in real estate?
Okay, thank you, everyone. I believe I'm audible enough.
Very audible, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you very much. I will first answer the question, the asking price and the net price. Majorly, the asking price is the price placed on a property, which means it is negotiable. It's an asking price. You have the opportunity to negotiate that price. It's not fixed. And for net price, it simply means take out tax and every other thing. The price for this property is A. It means you may have to pay other fees, as we normally have with asset rights. You have what we call the statutory fees. Your statutory fees comprises of the payment for survey, developmental levy, payment for legal documentation and such. So net price is the price placed on the property without all those extra fees. The other question says the importance of safety of your documentation. Am I right?
The importance of understanding safety of investment in real estate, yes.
Yes. It is important for investors to secure their investments. So it is important for investors to see to the safety of their investment in real estate. How do I do this as an investor, you need to carry out your own due diligence. Before you buy a property, you need to find out. As my Nana friend said the other time, she used the term tracing. What are the documents that I can see in respect of this property? Oh, am I safe to invest here? Do they have legal documents that I can rely on that, oh yes, these people are the rightful owner of this property? Or I'm just buying from somebody I don't know, a company I don't know, and I don't know the history of the land. So it is important for every investor to carry out their diligence, consult your lawyer. I'm not saying this because I'm a lawyer, but it is important. Vice Chairman will bear me witness. It is important for you to consult your lawyer. The lawyer, from experience, will carry out the due diligence on your behalf. They will search for the history of that property and see that you are buying from the genuine owner, not from somebody who will tell you, oh, I am the owner. At the end of the day, it turns out that you are not investing at the right place or on the right property. So it is very, very important that you get to know where you're putting your money and on what property am I putting my money. Otherwise, if you fail to do that, at the end of the day, I used to tell some people that, do you want to put your money inside an ocean? It will fly away. For some people, they feel that consulting a lawyer is a waste of time and a waste of money. It is not a waste of resources at all. Penny wise, pounds foolish. I advise that every one of us should be careful and carry out our due diligence before we invest in any property. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well said.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for that very detailed answers and explanations to that question. Just before we turn over to Barrister Chioma, so we need, somebody is asking, what is land gazette, what is government acquisition, what is freehold, and what is leasehold? So these are land titles. So land gazette, government acquisition, freehold, and leasehold. That what are these under the Land Use Act of the 1978?
Okay, Land Gazette. I will cite an example. Or maybe we should start from land acquisition. Land acquisition can only be carried out by the government. And what is the purpose legally for any government to acquire a land? Is for them to ensure that it's being used for the public. If the government acquire your land, let's say we have a family, they own vast area of land in Lekki, and government is saying this area will be good for us to build a big hospital. They can acquire the land and must be used for that purpose. If you fail to use it for that purpose, the owner can sue the government and recover the land because they failed to use it for the purpose for which it was acquired. At the same time, when the government acquire your land, you may appeal to them, oh, this vast area you are taking is so large enough that it seems we don't have anything left for our family. The government may be magnanimous enough and say, okay, we will give you parts of this parcel of land. The government will then plot A, B, C belongs to so-so family. It must be gazetted. It simply means the record is with the government and is open for the public to know. That property will be gazetted by the government. That is, everyone can get to know that, yes, this land belongs to this because the government has given it back to this family. Land Gazette also serves as title to that property, to that land. The Gazette from the government confirms that the land belongs to the family that, or an individual that the name appears on the Gazette. Also, even when you get a judgment of court against government or anyone, you may ask that that land, that property be gazetted. Also, you talk of, aside from land gazettes, we talk of acquisition, we talk of gazettes. Is what other thing? Please, the third one, please.
Leasehold, sir. Leasehold.
Leasehold and freehold.
And freehold,
Yes.
yeah.
The leasehold and the freehold. Yes, the leasehold. The freehold belongs to the family. Initially, our tradition is that land belongs to the family right from the beginning. But when the Land Use Act came into force, March 1978, the governor of a state becomes the owner of every land in a state, holding in trust for the citizen of the state. Freehold means that you can own that land forever. Your interest in that land is forever. But a leasehold, for instance, what we get from the government is a leasehold because the government owns that land. They can lease to you for 99 years. So that means the reversionary interest goes back to the government. That is leasehold because the government will lease to you. It's not free forever. When you get your CFO, certificate of occupancy, it's being given to you by the government for a limited number of years, the maximum of 99 years. Then the reversionary interest goes back to the owner of the land, the government. That is lease. Lease means longer period. But freehold means you own it and you can continue to, it can pass from one generation to the other generation. That is freehold. My great-grandfather owns a land, can pass to my grandfather, from my grandfather to my father, from my father to me, from me I can pass to my children. Hello? Freehold interest. Are we together, please?
Yes, sir, we're with you.
Yes.
We're with you, yes, sir.
So I believe I'm able to do a bit of justice.
Yes, sir.
To this
You've done justice to that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Barrister, sir. Barrister Fadairo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Barrister Choma will help us with the next questions. It says, what is the most important legal document required when you buy a land? And also, after answering that, you help us with, can I get a land and sort out the survey myself? Also, if anybody wants to ask a question, please do not unmute your mic. You can drop your question in the chat box and we'll address it. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, Barrister, we are with you.
Okay, you asked about what's the most important document when you purchase
most important legal document, yes. Then secondly, can one get a land and sort out the survey his or herself?
Okay, I'm going to start from now. When you are getting a property, and you are done with like negotiations and everything, you have been able to you have paid and secured the property, you have gotten receipt. Now I'm going to list out the documents you are supposed to get, like you get your receipt, which is very fundamental. Even it's very fundamental legally that you have your receipt, right? It's still seen as a form of contract under law, and it's of great relevance. It shows that transaction has taken place also. But in terms of finalizing the transaction, you must have a deed of assignment. It is very key that you must have a deed of assignment when you're finalizing that transaction. Of course, you look at contract of sale. Contract of sale is also part of the documents that you would have. But in terms of looking at how do we say this transaction has finally, this title has finally vested on this person, is when you are issued a deed of assignment. So look out for, I've seen a lot of cases where a lot of people just go ahead with contract of sale. And then you will now call you and say, oh, they want to sell property. Okay, we ask for documents. They'll be like, it's just contract of sale I have. I'm like, you have not done the final step of passing the title to this person. So it now makes it hard for the person to pass the title to another. So if as you have not gotten the final document with the deed of assignment, it makes it very difficult for you to pass the title to another person. Because when the person asks, consult with their lawyer will definitely ask for documents, and he would vet the document to see, and then do some search and all of that. So it is very key that when you are finalizing the transaction, don't just rely on just the contract of sale. Go ahead to do a deed of assignment. Go ahead to ask for your land receipt, because usually land receipt is also very, very, very key in practice. Thank you. Then you talked about the second question. Please kindly remind me.
Can you do your survey without going through the company?
Okay, now that is now dependent on you negotiating with the company. That is dependent on you negotiating with the company. And someone is raising their hand. Okay. Hello.
Just continue, Barrister. Continue. We'll address all of that. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So, very important. What you need to do is you need to negotiate on it. Many times, people have all these kind of questions and reservations as to, I want to do my own survey by myself. I have a surveyor and stuff to do it for me. You can negotiate with the company and say, oh, this is what I want to do now.
12 hours. It's 12 hours.
Now, in that situation, if at the end of the day of negotiation, they are like, okay, fine, you can go and do your survey. Most of the times, then you can decide, okay, you can do your survey, but it's actually provided as an all-inclusive package. That is the usual thing that they'll give you as an all-inclusive package. To you get your survey plan and the rest of your documents, because they have their surveyor to do the boundaries, exact boundaries. That's the essence of the survey plan, to do the exact measurements and boundaries for you. So it's quite easier for the company, and it's easier for you. It's quite easier for them to do the what they call it, mapping out, because at the end of the day, they have the exact boundaries of the entire land. So it's for them to just map out your structure and give you a survey plan in respect of that, out of the land layout. So it's quite easier that way, but at the end of the day, it's still dependent on your negotiation, like I said, with with companies in that regard. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister Iswabam. Thank you so much. Barrister Fadairo, we have a follow-up question to your earlier explanation, and Mr. Harrison wants to know, he's asking that if you're saying that freehold is better than a C of O, if I believe he's responding to the part where you said that freehold means you own the property forever, while a C of O is more of like a leasehold. So he's asking that is freehold therefore better than a C of O?
No. And freehold interest means that, as I said, you own the land and you own the land forever. Yes, it has its own advantage. It's not that it's better than the C of O. Your interest in the land is freehold. While the other interest is lease, limited by time, but this one is not limited. C of O is a title document given to you by the government over that property. So it is not, well, to a certain extent, you may say, yes, because I don't need to deal with the government. We don't have any business with the government. But if you want to sell that, you still need to have recourse to the government, because what you now hold after the 1978 Land Use Act is you have the customary right of occupancy. That is what you have. You have the customary right of occupancy. You don't have, whilst the one the government will give you will be the statutory, the C of O, the certificate of occupancy. And for you to use that, you need to get the consent of the governor. Now, that's where you see, what are you applying for? You're applying for governor's consent, or you're applying for C of O. If you are using your land for yourself and yourself alone, no problem. Nobody is challenging you. You may claim that, yes, it's far better for me as the original owner of that land, not a sub-lessee. I don't want to use some legal, so it won't confuse us much. If you are buying from the original owner, automatically you need the consent of the governor based on the Land Use Act. Automatically, again, your tenure is limited. But as the original owner of that land, from time immemorial, you can continue to enjoy the interest on the land. So that is the only area you can claim that, yes, I'm better positioned here than for me to apply for C of O. So not everyone can claim to enjoy the freehold over C of O. I think I'm able to put it, to break it down to our level a little, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello.
Somebody is asked. Yes. Okay, Barrister
Yes.
Chioma. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to add to what my learned senior said. Okay, so I would look at it this way, also adding to what he has said already. He has already done justice to it. But if you notice in practical reality, like what is really going on, I want to relate it to like what all of us at least were exposed to. You will notice that freehold is usually, like he said, that is usually applicable like maybe in rural areas or areas where, and apart from just rural areas, predominantly rural areas. So if you, for instance, you're in Lagos here, you travel to places like Enugu and stuff, you will not hear anybody say, a lot of people are not even saying anything around like C of O. You travel to Abia State, C of O where most people are actually like enjoying their property freehold, right? So predominantly you see that around rural areas and around areas where that is the dominant title, like in the East and the rest. But I want to stress a particular fact that even with the coming of the Land Use Act, like he said, it doesn't now mean that there's still the existence of customary title to land. But also look at the fact that in reality, what I've seen in practice is the government cannot just go and collect your property and say, I want to. No, what usually happens is because the title has been passing from one generation to the other. It's an inherited property. Government cannot just wake up one day and say, oh, they are going to collect the property without any proper compensation, without any proper thing being done. So usually you see in those kind of cases, the intersection between people going from freehold to excision, all those things. So it's now you understanding what is obtainable in practice. In practice, you will see different kinds of titles: freehold, excision, certificate of occupancy. But in relating it to your question, and of course, I understand where the confusion is coming from. You're like, oh, does it not mean that I should just be enjoying my freehold or something? Be rest assured that even with the coming of the Land Use Act, the customary title to land is still very recognizable. So even in our documentation and stuff, we definitely recognize the passing of inheritance, title from one person to the other. We definitely recognize that. And we also recognize the intersection between families and government where they create excision, right? So that is very, very key and fundamental in the creation of titles. It's not just a one-way street or something. No, you can't just, for instance, as a government, just go and grab people's land and start saying all sorts of things. No, predominantly a society where you see freehold, government respects that title very well. So that's very key. For instance, you look at Epe areas and the rest, government respects that this is the predominant title in the properties right now. You can't just go, people have built properties, they have passed it from generation to generation, and it's a recognizable title, right? So if they are going to intersect with these families, of course, they will look at excision. So you see how from freehold, excision, different, you can see different titles coming out to play from in different scenarios, basically. I hope I was able to add something to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you so much. Somebody's asking, how can you authenticate survey title on land? Then secondly, the difference between excision and gazette. How can you authenticate survey title on land? And the difference between excision and gazette.
Okay, should I take that?
Please, yes, please.
Or you said difference between excision and gazette. And you also talked about authenticating what?
Survey.
Okay, I'll talk about excision. Now, excision is, because I just saw somebody also talking about the same thing, whether they can excise to me. So I'll use that scenario. I just saw it pop up. I use that scenario. Now, excision is it's not like individual, something like C of O, right? What you see in excision usually is that excision is given to a family, like a community, a settlement, right? That's where you see that excision plays there. So look at two things. I want you to remember two things, please, when you are thinking of excision. Whenever you hear of excision, you remember government and then remember community. So it is giving, the title given to community. Now, Gazette is that official publication. It's just like newspaper publication now. Now, the government goes ahead to publicize that this so and so community has gotten this excision, right? This excise title. For instance, let me use Eledumare community. There's nothing like that. But Eledumare community has gotten this excision from government. So they will now publicize it in Gazette. So Gazette is a publication of that title called excision, basically. So you talked about authenticating survey. Please, can you shed more light on that question?
Yeah, I said, how can you authenticate survey title on land?
Okay, do you mean verify?
I think the person is trying to say verify, how to verify that a survey document is is original.
Yes.
Or, yes.
Yes, let me tell you, the practical thing you can do is you can also go to the land. That's why they provide for land inspection. You can go to the land itself also and decide, okay, I want to, pick coordinates on this land. I want to also verify by myself. Do you understand? Because what you see now in practice, I'm not talking about this is applicable to most real estate companies. No, some real estate companies definitely take survey very genuine. Do you understand? They give genuine surveys and all of that. Some real estate companies are very particular about that because it doesn't make any sense for you to now start building a kind of bad reputation of giving bad surveys. I mean, it doesn't make any sense with that. But if you want to authenticate your survey in Nigeria of today, the best way is not just to rely on that survey plan. No. You have to go to the land itself. Because we see that a lot of surveyors, with all due respect, I respect the profession of the surveyors and every other person, but I'm saying that it doesn't mean that in any profession they are not bad players. They are bad players in different professions. So what am I saying? Go to the land itself. Don't just rely on the documents. Go to the land itself and try to authenticate. That's the best way to authenticate the information contained on that survey plan. Go with your surveyor, authenticate the property itself. Then they pick up, let them check also so that they can see whether that land is free for you to buy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister.
Okay. Can we add something to that?
Yes, Barrister Father Irosa. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Barrister Chairman, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I feel we should make the consultants to realize that there are two types. It now depends on what you have paid for. Types of survey plan, I mean. That is what they call the provisional survey. And there is also a registered survey. For some people, what do you want? I just want to know the size of my land. If you want to know the size of your land, you get a provisional survey that will bear your name and show you the size and where this land is located. Simple. But when you get a registered survey, you have your name, you have where the land is located, you have the size of the land, you will see a survey plan there, and it will be signed by a registered surveyor with their seal. Yes, it simply means what you got is a registered survey, which we have for you to trace, even when you go to a surveyor general's office. For instance, if you go to even Ogun State, they have what they call certificate of land information. They will ask you, where is your survey? The moment they get the survey from you, they will write on it and produce a result for you, whether this land is under acquisition or not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister Fadero. Thank you so much. We can see we're having further questions on surveys. So in a few minutes, we'll just introduce our very own surveyor Benjamin Clement to give a close remarks on survey so that we can go into the other questions that are directly under legal concerns. So Surveyor Benjamin Clement, please, just in a few minutes, just a round of, take us through surveys, and we can have ample time to allow our legal luminaries attend to the legal questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian. And thank you, Barrister Chairman and Barrister Fadero. The comments on the survey so far have been very, very accurate. And also what Barrister Fadero just said now is very correct. We have two types of surveys. We have the provisional and the registered survey. When you take a look at the registered survey, there's always a government-issued pillar number. It's always prefixed by the state where the survey is made. So for instance, in Lagos State, if you have a registered survey in Lagos State, the prefix on your pillar number is going to have SC/LA, then followed by the pillar numbers. So that will make you understand that your survey is actually a registered survey. And also to confirm the genuinity of your survey, as Barrister Sherma said, you don't always rely on the survey plan. There might be mistakes, there might be errors in coordinates. So the best thing you do is to go to the site yourself or with your surveyor, and the surveyor will help you to pick the coordinate of that land, compare it to the one on the survey, and if you want to go further, go to the office of your surveyor general, chat it, get the charting information, and you know the status of your land. If it's under any government acquisition or under any encumbrance, you know with the coordinates, the exact coordinates you picked on site. So I think with that, you'll be able to confirm the genuinity of your survey and the survey type that you have with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sylvia Clement Benjamin. Sylvia Clement Benjamin, it's give us that useful insight. Barrister Fadairo, there's a question on the group which we want you to address. Over time, as somebody has just dropped it now, most people purchase lands from are requesting for insurance. We want to know, is a real estate company or under law obliged to provide insurance as a legal document on the purchase of land?
My answer will first be that what did you market to them?
No.
Did you market insurance?
Land purchase.
Yes. If you don't market insurance, why must we be asking for insurance? I'm hoping to be corrected. I don't think any law in Lagos says that asks anyone when you are buying your land, you get insurance for the land. No. So I don't think, unless, take for instance, there is this Ilu Asheyori from Asset Rise. I believe we all know about that. There was the publication about the sale, and then this is what you get insurance, blah, blah, blah. Please, that means the company already promised insurance on your investment, not for the company to insure the land for you, but on your investment. Oh, you are getting this land as security for your money. Not that we are really selling this land, but we are going to give you so square meters at this rate. So it is not a requirement for you to obtain a land. Insurance certificate is not a requirement. So it may be that the fellow may probably doesn't know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barrister. Somebody is asking the right process for due diligence. So after, probably before acquisition of land, what is the right process to follow to carry out due diligence on that property?
Well, due diligence on your property, it simply means you have some information regarding that property. It is for you now to take steps. Oh, this land, vast area of land, is purchased from so family. We got this receipt. Oh, we've gotten our survey. Oh, we got our CFO. We got this, got this. Due diligence simply means you do the right thing to check. It's a background check to see whether what you are buying is genuine. So you need to take your time and get professionals For instance, Surveyor Ben said something about survey there. Some people we see picking, they just get somewhere, maybe bricklayer to mold block for them, and say, I'll put my pillars. Meanwhile, some people, oh, we have pillars there. You have pillars where? That somebody has removed. How many of us, how many of the consultants can take coordinates? Due diligence to see that, yes, what I'm buying is not oceanic. So it is for us to go to the necessary agency of the government or start from the family. Oh, we got this receipt. Do your findings, even from the neighborhood. Probably somebody is staying around another estate around. Oh, how about this land? Oh, does it belong to asset right? Does it belong to my Manane colleague said, Eledumari Estate or something? You know, do your findings, take the time, do not rush. So you will not buy a fake property. So that every document we get, let's verify them. The survey you get, let's verify. Let's verify whether there is encumbrance on that property. What you are buying might be under, what do you call this, electric, high tension, when you are not supposed to buy. Oh, I saw it, I saw the survey, it's very good. And I told me that it's besides those, whether it's under high tension, do you know? When you're not built under high tension. So it is important, number one, get to site. If it's from a company, ensure that the company is still an ongoing company. That is, the company has not folded. Because in case you want to make a request to a company, you know that it's a living company you are dealing with. Who are the directors of this company? Are they reliable? Do you know that, yes, for instance, there are some issues now when some people call, oh, want to sell this land for you, come and invest it, blah, 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 before you know it. You say, oh, we are using your money for this, we do this, when you do this, agree, blah, blah, blah. Like asset is doing well. But there are other companies that still claiming they also go into agri business, but at the same time, they defraud so many people. We have series of cases like this in courts. Let's not be in a hurry, but go through every steps we need to do. Either CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, confirm. Who are the directors of this company? Okay, they bought this land. Is this land genuine? From where did you buy from? Can we see your survey? Give us a copy of the survey. You go to Survey General Survey, or you give it to your surveyor, they will confirm for you. Okay, they claim they have a CFO. Get it. Go to land registry, as we have been told. Get information about this land, whether there is encumbrance on this, or whether they've even used the land for mortgage. Then you know whether to buy or not to buy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We'll take two final questions, then have our submissions from our resource persons. Then we'll have the GMD, Mr. Rotimi Ojamamuye, give us the final remarks. Somebody is asking, when buying a land to resell, is it best to buy the land on my personal name or on my business name? That's one. And the second question is that what's the highest form of land documents that the government issues on for land acquisition? So we'll have Barrister Fadairo take one and Barrister Chioma take one. Then both resource persons will give us closing remarks about legal concerns in real estate. Then we have GMD.
Okay, the first question is,
when buying a land to resell, would you advise to buy it in a personal name or business name?
Thank you so very much. My answer will be, it depends on your interest. Number one, when you buy your property in your name, you pay less tax. For instance, if you are going to obtain your survey plan, what you pay for survey plan is almost times 2 of what you pay for private survey plan. individual is different from corporate. They pay ×2. I want to say as well that when you buy in your individual name, it is easy for you to transact on it on your own. If it's a corporate name, if there is a dispute, you may lose your interest because it belongs to that company. So it belongs to all the directors, but peradventure you are fighting or there's a dispute in the company, nobody can touch because the other one will not like to say, go ahead. You two, you don't want him to say, go ahead. There will be dispute there, and then there will be a stalemate. Also, how do you transfer your interest in that, what's it called, in the private property to your beneficiaries? Talking about estate planning now. It is easier for you to transfer in a corporate name to anyone else without you paying charges to the government. For instance, you own a property in Ekpe. It was 10 million. You grow old, you answer the glorious call. Your children needs to go to court to obtain letters of administration. And in the process, the government will charge 10% of the value of that land. They will charge your beneficiaries to pay 10% of the value of that land. Meanwhile, if that property remains in your corporate name, a corporate entity will live forever. They don't die. So you can sell, you can do whatever you like with it without paying the government anything because you don't need any letter of administration for you to run that company. So I will suggest, depending on your own interest, you want to obtain a loan. If it's in a corporate name, if you say, oh, this company has this, we can grant them this loan. Individual, that's that aspect as well. The corporate entity will gain more grant than a private individual. So it all depends on where your interests lie and what you want to do with your property. If it's just what you are buying for generation to come, well, and you feel that you can manage it or you don't care, paying 10% to the government, you want to keep it in your name, or you want to keep it in the corporate name because you don't want to give to government or make government to reap where they did not sow. Depend on individual interest. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Barrister Choma, please, you take this final question for us before you give us the final submission. The question is asking, what's the highest form of land document that one can process from the government? Is there a highest document that can be processed from the government?
Okay. Okay, so that's a certificate of occupancy that can be processed from the government. So you see that usually for C of O lands, they are even more expensive than any other lands that you see around. So that is the highest form of documents you get to process that certifies that you have the right of occupancy from the government for so and so number of years on the name of this. So you see everything detailed there. So that is the document you can get. It's the highest form so far recognized also by the law. But it does not mean that it does not invalidate other titles. But in terms of what's the highest recognized title in the land, on the Land Use Act, we're looking at right of occupancy. And in terms of documents, that right of occupancy is certified by a certificate of occupancy. So that's it. Thank you.
So please, Barrister Chioma, take a few minutes, just a few minutes, and give us a closing remarks on, legal concerns and how it affects real estate.
Okay. First of all, I would just talk about leverage. And in a few minutes, I will talk about leverage. Now, work with professionals in the field and leverage their experience is very key. That experience is what brings a lot of insights into any transaction you're getting into, whether you are trying to do joint venture, whether you're trying to get into sales, whether you want to buy a property, whether you want to transfer the property. Always leverage the experience of professionals in the field. Work with all professionals in the field. It's very, very key, because what you might not be looking at, they will definitely see it from the pre to the post transaction of the land. So that's very key. Then also, in terms of leverage, you can also leverage working in community. Like, what do I mean by that? If you are trying to get into development and all of that and home ownership, being able to leverage communities like this, like for instance, Asset Rise organizing something like this, enables you to see what is the insight into what is going on right now. You're able to stay on top of the news, you're able to ask questions, and you're able to leverage the community support of the company and different communities. So it's very, very important to leverage community, leverage experience in terms of going into home ownership or sales, and ask a lot of questions, because it's not, sometimes you might run into some questions you might not be able to answer. So leverage is very, very key in the real estate space. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and do have a lovely, lovely, lovely time. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Barrister Swabam. Barrister Fadairu, please just give us your closing remarks.
Thank you, sir. We do a follow-up on what Barrister Chioma just said. We advise all consultants to advise their clients and tell them, together we are stronger. It is important for us to be together. Like Asset Rise, we call Palm Beach Estate, this estate, that estate. It is easier for you to get out of trouble and to fight every challenge that comes your way when it comes to property when you are together. Somebody asked a question the other time. Can I do my survey on my own? Yes, I've asked that question before. You can have it on your own, but it is cheaper when you do it together. It is faster when you do it together. When you go on your own, it takes your time and you pay more. In the sense that by the time you give money to surveyor, you be the one pursuing the surveyor. Oh, I'm coming today, I'm not coming tomorrow, but that I leave to Asset Rise. It's none of my business. It's none of my business. I just sleep and get whatever I want. That is one aspect of it. If you have any issue with any land within the estate, the entire estate will fight the battle. It's not going to be an individual fight. So buying property within an estate, I will say, I will recommend. It gives you rest of mind, especially when you've done your due diligence. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Barrister Fadairu. Thank you so much, Barrister Chioma. Want to now invite our very own Mr. Rotimi Ojamamoye. Welcome, sir. We're glad to have you here. So please, we want you to offer our closing remarks.
Oh,
it has been an amazing evening, and I must say a very big thank you to Barrister Fadairo and Barrister Choma. Barrister Fadairo has been a guide to us on so many legal concerns and legal discussions in real estate. And as a company, Asset Rise Limited, like we always say to some of our clients, the best way to avoid troubles is to start with your lawyer and not to bring your lawyer into the midst of troubles. Because you will spend money when you bring your lawyer into the midst of troubles. You will avoid troubles when you bring your lawyer to start it with you. And we've always taken this side of transaction to always seek legal counsel before we leap. I mean, the future is too bright enough for us to mess it up by creating future troubles. Then you now start paying lawyers to fight the future troubles for you. In Asset Rise, we want to build a brand that lasts 100, 200 years from now and more. If, I mean, to us who are of the Christian faith and of different other faiths, if Christ tarries and if whatever faith tarries that you believe in, if the world doesn't come to an end. Institutions should outlive humans. And one of the greatest investments we can invest in that is transgenerational, that is more profitable, that can store the value of our sweat profitably for us is real estate. I'll give you a clear example and I'll wrap up. Life is not guaranteed for anyone. Life is a privilege. People leave their homes and bid their families goodbye. I will be with you by 6 p.m. and they never return. They don't desire to die. It's just the way life has been designed. It is a privilege. And so imagine that man, that woman, and all their earnings. I was asking my wife over the weekend when I returned back from my trip, oh, do you know the password to my phone? She said, I've forgotten. Do you know how many bank accounts I have? She said, I don't really know. Then it dawned on me that we can be very stupid at times to labor so well, work so hard, and waste everything that we have worked for. And how do I mean waste? If anything happened, all the money in your bank account, they are gone because no one knows those banks. Nobody owns the password to your phone. Nobody owns your nest of kin in the bank is just a bubble because your nest of kin cannot access your account. And so many things. So after working and struggling, some of us jackpot abroad, some of us do everything. We labor so hard. But you know what? At the end of all the labor, one of the most important investment that we should do or that we will do is real estate. It guarantees our wealth. It transfers our sweat to our generations. If you put your money in a bank account, it depreciates. If the unexpected happens, it is more problematic to access that money to any family. But with real estate, they just need to have your files and they can have access to those documents. So real estate is something that we all should take responsibility for and not hand over the responsibility to someone else. You should know everything that your sweat is going into. Have the detailed information. And that's why in Asset Rise, we have taken it up as a challenge that we want to build a company, an organization that is transgenerational and that people will be happy. Not that you buy a property today and 5 years from now, it is April Fool. You start having stories and the rest. When we hear so much stories in the Nigerian real estate space, I got to the office someday and I told my colleagues, this must not happen to us. But the truth is this, it is not just about us, it is about you. It is about your sweat. It is about your money. Do your due diligence. It put us on our toes. Make your research. It put us on our toes. And also your resources must be secured in real estate. And that is why we all should have the legal knowledge in real estate. And if you don't have the vast legal knowledge, like the barristers and the only learned colleagues, like they always say, with the rest of us, we are ignorant. They are the only learned colleagues. They are the only one that went to school. I mean, that's the cheat language lawyers use on us, all of us. I mean, we should have them as friends. Seek the advice. You should have them in your portfolio of investments. You always think that lawyer is one of the best person to talk to. They will guide you so you avoid troubles or bringing them into troubles to win a case for you, a case that you will have won before you started it. I want to really appreciate every one of us I checked the numbers we have here and I saw a skyrocketing number of attendance. That is to me that a lot of people want to know. They want to ask the lawyers questions. They don't want to get their fingers burnt again. We're going to have more editions of this, even as we also prepare for our hallmark event, Agriculture and Real Estate Investment in Nigeria. The team is making it easier, secured, and transgenerational. And for us to make real estate and asset acquisition easier, secured, and transgenerational, we need to understand all these things. Once again, we appreciate our facilitators tonight, Barrister Fadairo, Barrister Choma. We can't appreciate you enough for your time. And we appreciate all our clients, our consultants who are taking this drive with us. Nigeria must be known for a better thing. And that better thing must be the fact that consultants will not sell fake properties. It must be the fact that our brothers and sisters abroad will not walk in the cold and send their money back home. And at the end of it, they are buying things that are fake or things that does not exist or regret whatever they are buying. And for us to stop this from happening, it comes from a place of understanding and of knowledge. As a consultant, don't sell what you don't understand. Understand the legal background of whatever you're selling. And as a client, like the barristers have advised, let's take that pinch of advice. Thank you so much. And let's stay tuned to the more editions. God bless you all.